France is a country you can hear before you even see it. You can hear it in the sound of footsteps on old stone streets, in the hush of forests that once hid rebels and kings, in the low echo of cathedrals built not just to impress the living, but to humble them. France isn't one story. It's thousands layered like earth. A Roman road beneath a medieval wall beneath a modern boulevard, a revolution beneath a republic. And beneath all of it, a question France keeps asking itself, again and again: who are we, when everything changes? Tonight, we're not racing through dates. We're drifting through time slowly across centuries of power, faith, war, art, and reinvention. From ancient tribes and Roman conquest, to kings who believed they ruled by God's permission, to a people who decided they'd rather rule themselves even if the price was chaos. And when you reach the end of this story, you'll feel something strange and true. France is not just a place on a map. It's an idea that has been rebuilt over and over by fire. Before we begin, I love hearing from where you're listening tonight. What country and what time is it where you are? And if you're ready to relax into this long journey through time, give the video a like and subscribe. There's so much more history still waiting. This is the entire history of France, and it begins.
Before there was France, there was land, wide and varied. A coastline that faced the Atlantic like a cold breath. Mountains that held snow and silence. Rivers that carved paths through forests and fields. The Loire, the Seine, the Rhone. And across that land lived many peoples, tribes with different leaders, different rivalries, different gods. The Romans would call them Gauls. The Gauls were not one nation. They were a patchwork of communities, farmers, warriors, traders, connected by language and culture, but divided by politics. They built hilltop forts. They minted coins. They traded with the Mediterranean world. And they fought, often. Then, from the south, came Rome. At first it arrived as influence, wine, pottery, ideas. Then it arrived as soldiers. In the 1st century BCE, Rome's expanding republic looked north and saw opportunity and danger. And one general, ambitious and brilliant, stepped into Gaul like a man stepping into legend. Julius Caesar. Caesar's conquest of Gaul was not just a campaign. It was a transformation. There were rebellions. There were massacres. There were alliances made and broken. And there was one figure who stands like a shadow against Rome's brightness. Vercingetorix, a Gaulish leader who tried to unite tribes that had rarely trusted one another. For a moment, it almost worked. But Rome had discipline. Rome had resources. And Rome had time. When the final resistance collapsed, Gaul became Roman, slowly, then completely. Roads were laid like veins. Cities grew with forums and baths. Latin spread. And a new identity formed, not overnight, but over generations. Yet Roman Gaul was still vulnerable, because Rome itself was changing, becoming an empire, then straining under its own weight. And as centuries passed, the empire's borders weakened. Across the Rhine and beyond, other peoples watched. They were not Romans, not Gauls, but they would shape what came next. When Rome began to fade, it didn't vanish. It thinned, like fog lifting from a field. Roman officials still sat in offices. Roman law still mattered. Roman cities still lived. But authority became uncertain. And into that uncertainty came Germanic tribes, some as raiders, some as settlers, some as allies invited in by desperate Roman leaders. Among them were the Franks. At first, they were one group among many. But history has a strange habit of choosing unlikely foundations. A Frankish leader named Clovis rose to power in the late 5th century. He fought rivals. He expanded his territory. And then he made a decision that would echo for more than 1,000 years. Clovis converted to Christianity, not the form favored by some other Germanic rulers, but the Catholic Christianity tied to Rome's religious tradition. This wasn't only spiritual. It was political. It gave Clovis legitimacy. It connected him to the influential church. It helped him unify a land where Roman traditions and new warrior cultures were colliding. In time, Clovis's kingdom expanded across much of what would become France. But it was still not France. It was a realm, held together by personal loyalty, tradition, and force. After Clovis, power fractured. Kings ruled, but local nobles gained strength. The church became a stabilizing pillar, writing, teaching, keeping records, shaping morals, shaping power. Then, centuries later, another name rose like a mountain over Europe: Charlemagne. Charlemagne did not rule only a region, he ruled an idea. He forged an empire across much of Western and Central Europe. He promoted learning, laws, administration. And in the year 800, He was crowned emperor, an event that symbolized a new Europe rising from Rome's ruins. But empires, like storms, pass. After Charlemagne, the empire was divided among heirs. Borders shifted. Local powers solidified. Out of those divisions, the western portion slowly evolved toward a recognizable identity, a kingdom that would eventually be called France. And as the centuries moved forward, France became a land of castles, feudal loyalties, and deep tension between kings and the people who carried their banners.
Medieval France was not a single, strong state. It was a web. A king at the top, sometimes powerful, sometimes barely more than symbolic, and beneath him, great nobles who ruled their lands like mini-kings. Castles rose across hills and valleys. Knights trained for war. Peasants worked fields that never truly belonged to them. The church stood everywhere, stone towers above villages, bells marking time, monasteries preserving knowledge. France grew slowly through marriage, conquest, and careful politics. Kings expanded royal authority piece by piece. But the greatest test of medieval France came not from within. It came from across the Channel. A long conflict erupted between England and France, part dynastic dispute, part territorial struggle, part national awakening. The 100 Years' War for generations, war returned like a season. Armies marched. Villages burned. Plague and famine followed. And France at times looked close to collapse. Then, into the darkness, came a young woman from a rural village claiming a divine mission, Joan of Arc. She did not win every battle. She did not live long. But she did something powerful. She made France believe in itself. Joan was captured and executed. But her story outlived her, and eventually France pushed back. England lost most of its French territories. Out of medieval chaos, something new emerged. A stronger French monarchy, a growing sense of France as more than a ruler's property, a people, a homeland, a shared story.
As France entered the early modern age, it moved toward centralization. The king became not just a leader, but the center of gravity. Yet France also became a battlefield of ideas, especially religious ones. Catholics and Protestants clashed in brutal wars. Massacres shocked the country. Trust collapsed. Eventually, stability returned, sometimes through tolerance, sometimes through force. Then came an era where royal power reached its most theatrical form. Louis XIV, the Sun King. Under Louis, the monarchy became a performance of control. Versailles was more than a palace, it was a machine. Nobles were drawn in, watched, managed, distracted by status and ceremony. The state grew stronger. Culture flourished, our architecture, fashion, influence, but it came at a cost. Wars drained resources, taxes burdened the poor, and beneath the glitter, resentment accumulated quietly, patiently. France looked powerful. But pressure was building, and pressure eventually becomes rupture. In 1789, France reached the breaking point. The economy strained. Food prices rose. The monarchy appeared distant and out of touch. And the people, ordinary people, began to speak in a new language. Rights, citizenship, liberty. The revolution was not a single event. It was a wave. It toppled institutions. It redefined power. It inspired hope and unleashed fear. The monarchy fell. A king was executed. And the revolution, threatened by enemies inside and outside, turned harsh. The reign of terror followed, where suspicion became deadly and justice became a blade. Then, from the chaos, a new figure rose, disciplined, ambitious, brilliant. Napoleon Bonaparte? Napoleon brought order and conquest. He reformed laws, strengthened administration, and spread revolutionary ideas across Europe, often by force. For a time, France seemed unstoppable. Then came the slow turning of fate. Coalitions formed. Armies fought back, and Napoleon fell. France had shaken the world, then been shaken itself. But the old France could not fully return. Something fundamental had changed. The idea that power belongs, ultimately, to the people. The 19th and 20th centuries brought France through repeated transformations. Monarchies returned, then fell. Republics rose, then struggled. Industry grew, cities expanded. France became modern, sometimes confidently, sometimes painfully. Then came the World Wars. In World War I, France endured devastation on its soil. A generation was scarred. In World War II, France fell quickly to invasion, then lived under occupation while resistance grew in shadows, and liberation arrived at a terrible cost. After the war, France rebuilt economically, politically, socially. It became a central part of the modern European project. It debated identity, secularism, immigration, and the meaning of the Republic. And today, France remains what it has always been, a nation shaped by its arguments with itself, a country that questions authority, defends culture, and carries history like a second heartbeat. Ever wonder how France became the country we know and love today? Let's take a whirlwind tour through its epic history. It all starts with the Gauls, ancient Celtic tribes who lived in the region. Then came the Romans, who conquered the land and named it Gaul. After the Roman Empire fell, a Germanic tribe called the Franks, led by Clovis, took over and gave France its name. Fast forward through centuries of kings, castles, and knights. We hit a major turning point, the French Revolution in 1789. People stormed the Bastille, demanding liberty, equality, and fraternity. This led to the end of the monarchy and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, who shook up all of Europe. From revolution to republics, France's story is one of constant change and enduring spirit. Thanks for watching.